I recently found this sketchbook when I went home to visit my parents over winter break, and I've been wanting to get a bigger sketchbook since I want to experiment with more space now that I'm more confident in my art. And only a couple of pages in this were filled with my Inktober drawings from 2019. Don't ask, you're never gonna see them because they're actually disgusting. But I found it fitting to fill in a page today with some drawings of my OCs being in love since it is Valentine's Day or Singles Awareness Day depending on who you ask. So yeah, let's get into it. So I decided to draw Carmen and Aaron, who are my joint OCs from a story called Violet Nights, which is a sapphic fantasy novel that I'm actually writing with my girlfriend. The premise of it is that Aaron is a highly devout knight. She's very religious and she is sworn to protect Carmen, who is this morally gray lady of a very powerful house. Now, during the time of the story, their country is at war. So they live in North Andorona, and the North is at war with South Andorona because in the North, the religious order there believes that witches are wild and cannot be trusted, and that they are sinful of the earth. So not only are the Northerners invading the South, they're also prosecuting any witches, and if you are found harboring a witch, performing witchcraft, interacting with it in any way that isn't negative, you will be punished or sentenced to death. So not only are they dealing with tensions of war, but these two characters don't really know each other. Aaron is chosen to be Carmen's personal guard. Carmen's previous guard, his name is Sir Theodore, who has been her guard for her entire life. He's just getting too old that Carmen's dad, Lord de la Cruz, has decreed that Theodore needs to find a replacement. And Theodore comes and finds Aaron at a guild, and he tells Carmen that she has to trust Aaron because people in the North cannot be trusted, and Theodore wants Carmen to have at least one person she can trust who can protect her, because that used to be him. Sir Theodore and Carmen both don't really agree with what the North is doing, but due to their station and how harsh the king and the religious order punishes people who sin against them, they kind of have to stay low-key with their true beliefs and what they do. Which is why Carmen is so morally great, because she does illegal things all the time. So the main conflict between the two is that Aaron, who was an orphan, lived in the streets, and was raised by the guild, is this very lawfully good person. But Carmen, who has had to mask her true intentions her entire life, always had to perform in a specific way, otherwise she'd get ridiculed or cast out by society, is very much morally gray, and very aware of the corruption that is occurring. And she personally is all for the Southerners and witchcraft, she doesn't see the issue with it, but she's also not religious at all, despite her dad being one of the most prominent religious figures in the country. There's more lore to that, but that's for later. So Carmen and Aaron are forced to trust each other in order to survive, but a lot of their ideals clash with each other. So throughout the novel and throughout their arcs, you see the way that they change and affect each other, and how they grow to trust each other and then eventually fall in love. So yeah, I don't really want to give away any more about what happens plot-wise, so I'm gonna switch gears and kind of talk about the designs, their character designs. So originally, Carmen and Aaron and their whole world very much resembled your stereotypical European-styled fantasy. But my girlfriend and I, we are both people of color, and we're both different types of Asian, and we were why are we trying to conform to this European-looking medieval fantasy when we have, our own cultures to draw from? So we went through a whole visual redesign and tried to incorporate parts of Chinese culture, because I'm Chinese, and parts of Indian culture, not only into just the visual aspects of Violet Nights, but also the world building and the stories themselves, and the cultures that exist within this world. So the folklore that they have in their world, the naming for things, places, and people all kind of draw from more of an Asian-inspired fantasy. And kind of after we went through that big redesign, we felt that the characters felt more fleshed out and real and had like a stronger purpose than when they were kind of cookie cutter European styled characters. So this is your sign if you're creating something to implement parts of your own culture into it. Anyways, back to the drawings. I'm going to do a series of like 3 drawings, and they're all snapshots of Carmen and Aaron interacting with each other, and these are definitely things that occur way like later in the story, after they've kind of come to terms with their feelings for each other and trust each other. It's not really something that you're going to see in the beginning, because in the beginning it's very much they're hesitant to trust each other and hesitant to interact. Well, more specifically, Carmen is hesitant to interact and open up to Aaron, and Aaron is just trying her best to survive and be the best personal guard because she does not want to get fired. There are some scenes at the beginning of the book where Carmen kind of just messes with Aaron, because Aaron does definitely have a lot of internalized homophobia and just doesn't know how to name the way she's feeling at times. And then there's Carmen, who is very secure in her sexuality and finds joy in flustering her little personal night. So, if I haven't mentioned it, this story is very queer, but there is homophobia that does exist in this world, which is why it's such a big arc for Erin to overcome her internalized homophobia and come to terms with who she really is. And then on the other hand, you have Carmen, who is stubborn, doesn't trust people in power, and figured out her sexuality and is very comfortable with it. And she also understands a woman's place in society and uses her facilities to her advantage. So it's really fun to play around with and explore how they interact with each other, with pre-trusting each other, during trusting each other, and finally realizing that they have feelings for each other. And then kind of the situations that they get themselves into and the events that are happening in the world around them that kind of propel and move their relationship forward. And also, I just really love the dynamic of the guard falling in love with the person they're supposed to protect. And Erin doesn't even realize she's falling in love. She's just I have to protect her. It's my job. It's my duty. My life is to serve. And it's honey, no, you're just gay. They just make me so happy and giggle, and I'm like, la 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 la, I love you guys, but I'm gonna put you through so much trauma because you're my original characters. It's also so relieving to be drawing them again, because I did take a bit of a break from drawing them, since there used to be another friend who worked on the story with us, but we had a falling out. But I'm glad to be digging back into these fantasy gays and working out their stories and interactions. It's such a breath of fresh air to draw things specifically for me. Since university just started up again for me and I'm taking 3 studio classes, again, I've been kind of drowning with assignments, paintings, drawings, observational studies. It's just so taxing making art to be judged and graded. So it's so refreshing to be working on something that's a little more relaxed in my sketchbook without the expectation that it has to be good. And I think that everyone should approach sketchbooks like this. I feel like when I'm talking to friends and other artists, we have this tendency to hoard sketchbooks and never use them or finish them, since we have this daunting impression that the art we make has to be good or pleasing to look at. Wrong! Sketchbooks should be your messy playground to experiment in and map out larger works in. Sometimes I just even take notes or jot down little thoughts in them. I feel like the first step to a healthy sketchbook process is to get rid of the notion that things have to look good in them. Once I got over that and just let myself draw, I've fallen in love with it, and sketching and working my sketchbook, I just love taking it out with me, though I'm still trying to get over the social anxiety of drawing in public. But it's still so relaxing for me. And if it's oh, I have this really expensive sketchbook, I don't want to mess it up, then don't use that one. Buy cheap sketchbooks or tape in drawings that you've done that you really like, so it's collaged in, and then build the confidence to work in that expensive sketchbook. I feel like there's a lot of mental roadblocks that can stop you from building a healthy art practice. And at the core of it, it's just to tell yourself that things don't have to be perfect. Art and the art making process is a constant tug of war and grapple. There's working and reworking, and nothing is ever truly wrong. It's just unfinished or unrefined in your eye, and that's okay. You build up those skills and that level of finish by doing, not by being afraid to start. Okay, I don't know where that whole lecture about art came from, but yeah, I just feel very strongly about having healthy sketchbooking practices. And I hate seeing people who are just too afraid to start, because that used to be me. I used to never draw in my sketchbook. I think the first time I ever finished one, completely, was in 2022. I was just so afraid that it would look ugly. But also, sketchbooks don't have to be something you show to the world. It could just be art for you to look at and practice. And I feel like, yeah, we do see a lot of aesthetically pleasing sketchbook pages, but you have to remember, the things that people post that look Insta-worthy are not every page. Not every page of a sketchbook looks post-worthy. For every good page you see on social media, there is a bad page right behind it, trust me. But it's just so beneficial to start up a good sketchbooking process for yourself. Actually starting up a healthy approach to sketchbooking led to me improving so much in my art and skill. And jumping from traditional mediums back into my digital work actually helped improve my digital stuff. Something, the inability to undo, making you more aware of your strokes, therefore building line confidence or something. I mean, what do I know? I'm just an artist. I'm just a silly little guy making art and writing stories. What do I know? Actually, the more that I think about it, I wouldn't mind going into art education once I graduate. Yeah, I'm getting my bachelor's in fine arts and illustration, and I'd love to illustrate book covers and make fantasy art, but I also wouldn't mind coming back to my university and teaching. I know a lot of my professors are actually alumni of the same program I'm in, so it is a possibility for me. I think my ideal goal is to kind of have my own art small business, selling stickers and prints online at conventions and markets, and maybe teaching on the side. I don't want anything big. I never wanted to get into galleries or be a well-known name in the industry. I think I'd be content creating art that's just easily accessed and viewed by the average everyday person. I think there's a stigma around art being something that's ooh la la, fancy, only rich people go to galleries. And this might be a bit of an outdated stigma, but I just want to make silly art that is accessible to be viewed in everyday life. Which is why I love the appeal of making stickers and prints, because anyone can buy those. They're not 100k super fancy paintings that people are bidding on. It's yeah, here's a silly sticker of a cat on a carton of milk spelled M-E-L-K, because I will never say milk. I will always say milk with an E. Just little things like that can bring people joy every day. Which is why this year I really want to establish my online shop and get more people into my monthly print club, because I would love to be able to live off of my art. It's so exhausting being an artist and a content creator and go to school and work a job. If I can get my YouTube up and monetized and get more people onto my Patreon to the point where I can just cut out the part-time job, I would be able to devote so much more time to my art and my content and not feel so stretched thin. That's the goal for 2024. What's 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4? That's right, 8. I have to keep telling myself I'm gonna slay this year, otherwise I might explode. But yeah, I feel like being an artist and a content creator is a constant uphill battle with algorithms and social media. In an ideal world, I just make art and not have to worry about marketing myself as a social media presence. But we don't live in an ideal world, so we have to learn and adapt. That's just something I want to work on growing this year. I feel like it's so easy to get into a habit, and then once the algorithm changes, those habits no longer work. But it's so scary to try something new, but that's the way you grow, is by trying new things and not staying stagnant. So this year, I'm trying new things. I'm branching out to other social media platforms. I'm going to try to start making more YouTube videos. I really want to see a lot of growth for myself this year, so I'm taking initiative to grow myself. Anyways, we're about at the end of the video, guys, so I hope you enjoyed my rambles. I hope you're interested in my characters, and I hope to see you back in a new video.